hand it to Michael Jackson. The man knows how to hide. Even though he's canceled his concert tour and dropped from sight, reports of his drug addiction are under closer scrutiny than ever. Mike Watkis reports from London.
Maureen, just when the Michael Jackson uproar seems to be dying down here in London, Jackson's good buddy Elton John jumps very publicly into the act. Elton John received a music award here in London last night. According to the most widespread story, Elton referred Michael to his personal drug therapist. That after a current affair caught Liz Taylor sneaking Michael out of Mexico City last week.
Michael says hi. I would have brought him with me, but he's hoovering his room out.
Hoovering is British for vacuuming. Those comments as a London newspaper printed an alleged eyewitness account of Michael's treatment. In this article, the Sun goes into great detail about the alleged treatment Jackson is supposedly receiving at this clinic. They say that he's got 5 bodyguards with him, 2 24-hour-a-day nurses. He's under constant care. They're saying that he's being fed Valium through his hand in a kind of a tube.
He's very dopey. He's in an incoherent state. He's dazed. He doesn't really know what he's doing. Our source told us that on Saturday, he actually went missing for 20 minutes, gave his bodyguards a slip and wandered around.
But still no Michael sightings. And meanwhile, back in the States, showbiz columnists are spreading the word that Michael might not be in Europe at all, that it's all a big diversion. Last night, a current affair received word that Michael might have hopped off Liz Taylor's midnight flight at the first refueling stop, Hamilton, Ontario, and checked into a Canadian drug clinic. Our John Johnston was up there in a flash.
I get the feeling that he's not here. I mean, there's no added security around. There's no nothing.
And in Los Angeles, the president of the police commission denied to a current affair that his men are strong-arming the young witnesses in the Jackson child sex abuse investigation.
To my knowledge, no police officers, no one involved with the investigation has done anything like that. And in fact, the only place where I have heard these allegations is in this letter from the attorney, from Michael Jackson's attorney.
But perhaps the most chilling development out of London. One paper reports Michael will release a message to the world next week, a video showing him at the Grammy Awards, explaining why he likes to be around children.
Michael says hi. I would have brought him with me, but he's hoovering his room out.
Maureen, much more from London tomorrow night during a special report. Back to you.
Thanks, Mike. Now, Michael's long road to exile, and Mary Jo goes it alone.
There's been a lot of times, I gotta be honest, when I have felt like giving up.
When we come back. Police want to know what Michael Jackson's really up to, and Mary Jo goes it alone. The Michael Jackson case blows wide open. The DA demands to know where he is.
The investigation is continuing.
Police want to know whether he's changing his appearance. They're ready to fly to Europe. Liz Taylor flies to his defense.
I am a friend of Michael Jackson's, and I love him like a son.
And criminal charges are threatened. Tonight, the latest from London, Los Angeles, and Washington. Michael, the heat is on. Also, step by step, a chronology of the countdown to disaster.
You have a 35-year-old man with a 13-year-old boy he's only recently met, sitting on his knee.
Michael's road to ruin. Mary Jo Buttafuoco, after an emotional separation from her husband, she looks to the past and finds herself facing an uncertain future.
You don't quit when the going gets tough.
Mary Jo, A New Day. The net is closing in on Michael Jackson tonight. Child abuse investigators in Los Angeles say they have had it with the hide-and-seek show. They want to know where he is and what he's up to. Elizabeth Taylor, who helped slip Michael out of Mexico City last week, defied the accusers in Washington today. But first, Mike Watkis is in London with the latest on a scandal that may break at any moment. Mike?
Maureen, I'm out in front of London's Charter Nightingale Clinic, the place where, by all accounts, Michael Jackson is supposed to be. But now suddenly there is great debate over why he's here in the first place, whether it's drug rehabilitation or to alter his appearance. Michael Jackson remains in hiding. All reports that he's in Canada or France or Switzerland remain completely unsubstantiated. But the Los Angeles District Attorney is said to be fed up playing the guessing game. Daily Variety reports that DA Gil Garcetti has sent a letter to Michael's attorneys demanding they reveal his whereabouts within the next 24 hours.
The investigation is continuing. It's an aggressive, hopefully very fair, thorough investigation, but I cannot confirm or deny, and will not confirm or deny, any exact action that either our office or the district or LAPD or any other agency may be doing.
Meanwhile, LA police reportedly want to know why Jackson is hiding. The LA Times says the detectives are trying to find out whether Michael is using his disappearing act to change his physical appearance, and not in the manner he's best known for. It seems the 13-year-old boy who accused Michael of molesting him allegedly gave police a detailed description of Michael's body.
Now, if this 13-year-old boy can actually tell police about a specific marking on an intimate part of Michael Jackson's body that would normally be closed, how does that boy know this?
Jackson is said to have a skin pigmentation disorder, and police reportedly want to talk to two doctors, Michael's personal physician, Dr. David Forecast, and Dr. Arnold Klein, a dermatologist from Beverly Hills. In London, there could be big activity at the Charter Clinic this weekend. All week long, we've been keeping our eye on the Charter Nightingale Clinic, but to this point, there have been no Michael Jackson sightings. The security is definitely tight here. You can see up on the level where Michael Jackson is said to be, up there on top, all of the windows are closed and the drapes are drawn. They've been drawn all week long. Over at the front door, only people with official business can get in. The door is locked and there's a security guard there. We even went around back earlier today, and a man taking out the trash, he was accompanied by a security guard. Meanwhile, the rumor mill is working overtime. It's reported that NBC has pulled the plug on that big Jackson family TV special. And there's buzz in Hollywood that it wasn't a drug problem, but a suicide attempt that drove Jackson to cancel his Dangerous tour. And what about Michael changing his appearance one more time? This story is one in which every outlandish prediction seems to have come true. And now, it all may be headed for a showdown. Maureen, each day this story takes another bizarre turn, and we'll be staying on top of the developments here in Europe. We'll keep you up to date. Back to you.
Thanks, Mike. Meanwhile, Elizabeth Taylor was in Washington to dedicate an AIDS clinic, but everything was overshadowed by her fighting words about Michael.
I need to address the press because they're here about a friend of mine. I have suffered and dealt with the same kind of medical problem now afflicting my friend Michael Jackson. Because of that, and because of our friendship, when Michael's doctor called to ask if I could help, I was glad to intervene. I traveled to Mexico City, where I saw for myself that Michael was in desperate need of specialized medical attention. Because of my own experience with addiction to prescription medicines, I was able to make a number of calls in search of the best and most appropriate treatment for Michael, and he is now undergoing such treatment in Europe. Out of respect for his privacy, which I know to be extremely important at this time, I have not spoken publicly about our movements or about Michael's exact location. And because of my regard for him and my concern for his health, I will continue to be silent on these matters. Concerning the other issue affecting Michael Jackson, As this is a matter now in the hands of the lawyers, it would be inappropriate for me to comment on it, and I will not do so. I will only repeat that I am a friend of Michael Jackson's, and I love him like a son, and I support him with all my heart.
Accused child molester, confessed drug addict. Who would believe we'd be talking about Michael Jackson? But Michael's disaster has been a long time coming. Rafael Abramovitz takes us step by step down Michael's road to ruin.
When you're really rich, really famous, things get to be both too easy and too difficult. You can't, of course, rent an entire amusement park on a whim. You can spend the night on a merry-go-round with a boy playing the games of childhood, even when you're 35. But no matter how rich you are or how clever the people you surround yourself with, the Humpty Dumpty principle applies. Fall off the wall and all the king's horses and all the king's men can't put you back together again. In the dark of night, in the early morning hours of November 12th, a current affair crew caught Michael Jackson slipping out of Mexico City. What the world didn't know was that his billion-dollar career was hemorrhaging. Liz Taylor was there with him that night, and soon Michael Jackson's lawyer, Bert Fields, would announce that he was on his way to a drug rehab center.
Liz Taylor flew to Mexico City and convinced Michael that he should face this problem, that he should have professional treatment, and he should do it right away, even at the cost of canceling the rest of his tour. And that's exactly what he did. He canceled the rest of his tour at a cost of many, many millions of dollars and has placed himself in professional hands to be cured of this addiction.
This week, and especially today, is probably the worst so far in Michael Jackson's life. But the days ahead look darker than ever.
Innocent people do not fear a thorough investigation and trial. I never would have believed that Michael Jackson, a superstar who says he's innocent, is afraid to come to my office and say it under oath. It's not what innocent people do.
That was how it all came down. When we come back, Raf shows how certain key moments and mistakes destroyed an idol.
This is a 13-year-old boy sitting on his knee. Jackson was holding him like this. His hands were on his legs.
And then Mary Jo Buttafuoco talks about why she fell for a guy like Joey.
He was the best-built guy in the school, as far as I was concerned.
And how she'll get along without him. Tonight, Michael Jackson is under wraps somewhere. Whether he's battling a drug addiction or hiding from child sex abuse allegations is unclear. But from the beginning, nothing was as it appeared. Rafael Abramovitz continues his investigation.
The real Michael Jackson went into hiding 14 years ago. Whatever we saw of him from then on was as carefully orchestrated as any of his celebrated performances. A young man vanished, and a legend took his place, which was both convenient and extremely profitable. Things that would seem strange, questionable, even suspect concerning a human being just enhanced the legend by shrouding the superstar in a mist of fantasy and mystery. Gestures that would be considered lewd for anyone else seemed cool and quite acceptable, even cute, when it came to Michael Jackson. After all, he was something different than anything we had ever known before, and so the rules that applied to others just didn't seem to apply to him at all, which appears odd, considering what a role model Michael Jackson had become to the children of the world. People also noticed that his face started changing, his skin was brightening, that his nose and cheekbones were going through transformations that only skillful plastic surgery could explain. His voice became more and more childlike, and his private time seemed occupied with children.
I can confirm that the Los Angeles Police Department is conducting a criminal investigation of entertainer Michael Jackson. This is based on a complaint to the department. We have been in contact with the LA County District Attorney's Office.
The complaint involves a 13-year-old boy Michael Jackson befriended earlier this year. According to the allegations, Michael Jackson showered the boy with presents and personal attention, invited him to Disneyland, to Europe, to Las Vegas. to visits to his Neverland Ranch, places where the LA police have now executed search warrants. Then last week, the Los Angeles police allegedly raided Michael Jackson's parents' mansion, reportedly seizing evidentiary items. It was after that news about this alleged raid that Michael Jackson slipped out of Mexico City on a private plane with Liz Taylor. The plane refueled in Canada, then made a stop in London before continuing to Switzerland under mysterious circumstances. By now, reporters began to remember what had happened in Monte Carlo at the World Music Awards earlier this year, when a smiling Michael Jackson had showed up with a woman, a little girl, and the 13-year-old boy who is now suing him.
We didn't see the mother from day one. She was just not part of the story at all. But we did see the boy and his sister and Jackson repeatedly on top of houses, waving at people and stuff like this. Anyway, 3 days passed and the concert came along. I was sitting literally 5 rows away from Jackson. He was right in the front next to Prince Albert. And for 2 hours he sat with that boy on his knee. Now this is not a very, very young boy. It's not a 3-year-old. This is a 13-year-old boy, an almost fully developed teenage boy. Sitting on his knee, Jackson was holding him like this. His hands were on his legs. There's a lot of tactile behavior. He was hugging him, laughing and joking with him, laughing and encouraging the bands, giving his views. The boy and him seemed like very close friends, if you know what I mean. Almost like they were having a relationship.
When the sex allegations first surfaced, Michael Jackson's handlers wrote it off as an extortion attempt. The dangerous tour continued, but was soon haunted by canceled dates and finally aborted in mid-tour just before a scheduled appearance in Puerto Rico.
The pressure resulting from these false allegations, coupled with incredible energy necessary for me to perform, caused so much distress that it left me physically and emotionally exhausted. I became increasingly more dependent on the painkillers to get me through the days of my tour. My friends and doctors advised me to seek professional guidance immediately in order to eliminate what has become an addiction.
Bert Fields, Michael Jackson's attorney, insists that his client is addicted to painkillers and has to be detoxed at a rehab center outside of the country.
If we put Michael Jackson to be cured in the United States, there is no way in the world that we could have kept the location a secret, no way in the world that we could have avoided the media being all around that facility.
Then this Los Angeles attorney, Howard Manning, gave us an exclusive interview that seems to contradict everything Michael Jackson's lawyer has been saying. Mr. Manning, who has spent 6 years pursuing a copyright lawsuit against Michael Jackson, insists that he was with Michael Jackson 48 hours before he left Mexico City for parts unknown. And as far as he is concerned, Michael Jackson showed no signs of addiction or depression.
We were not informed of any addiction problem. We could not see any evidence of an addiction problem. The witness was alert. He didn't slur. He answered questions just as he had in 1989. He's a very smart man.